posting about mental health or physical fitness or anything like that, I'm also implementing that in my own personal life, which kind of is a good way to, you know, have somebody backing me up and holding me accountable so I actually do those things, because it is hard. It is hard to do those things in your personal life. So having that personal brand has affected multiple areas of my life that I never expected. Even if you had told me when I started your script your brand course that I would be where I am right now in my life, I would have been like, are you really sure that this is how my life's going to look?
I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. And today, we break through. And today, we break through. And today.
So in your place of work, that same concept, are you demonstrating value to meet that need of preventing errors that you started to notice as it relates to women's care?
Yeah, and I think that is something that I have started tracking. And I did a post last week where I, on overnights, did like 60 interventions in a week, which the number of orders is significantly less. A lot of that was from doing those reviews on women's health. I mean, there were, and it's mostly little things, but then you catch the big thing where it's like, oh, this is an untreated diagnosis that we need to take care of. And so it's not to say that anybody did anything wrong on their end. It's just that pharmacists have the opportunity to really make an impact on patient care. And so I am showing that value. I'm tracking those things. So later on, when we do have a budget for somebody extra, be like, hey, women's health needs this. Here's all the reasons why. I'm doing this on overnights, but can you imagine how much more I could do if I had dedicated time to this? Because right now I'm doing this in between orders, in between verifying things. Some nights are busy and I don't even get a chance to look at anybody until 3 a.m. And, you know, what can I do more whenever I had that time? And so showing what I can do now and making those, you know, educational pieces, like things that I'm finding frequently, I'm making educational things to hopefully help with that in the future. You know, is it an education thing? Is there something we need to fix on the back end? I've been starting to, you know, put in tickets to improve our electronic medical record system for some of these things that could be done on that end. We're like, okay, something's messed up with this order set, or something doesn't meet our current guidelines. We need to start thinking about changing that and getting other people involved. And so I never imagined that I'd be doing this for women's health after doing a pediatric residency, but I absolutely love it. And I am also, you know, able to help those moms and babies, which happen to be the ones who are most likely to be awake in the middle of the night, because, you know, labor doesn't stop because it's nighttime. That usually is who I'm taking care of in the middle of the night anyway. So it's become like this perfect meeting of the brand that I'm building online and my job, in the health system that I'm at, because I think it could make a huge impact. And I'm already seeing that impact on patients right now. I'm having my coworkers come in and I have sheets that I make for all of my patients at night, and I highlight all the things that are important. So they are now like, I am so much more aware of these patients and what is going on, that one night I didn't get through everybody and they're like, wait a second, there's not anything in the front of the binder. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it was just crazy, I didn't get through it. They're like, oh, well, I really like that. You know, I like knowing what's going on then. And so now I've created that accountability from my coworkers, that they really enjoy coming in the morning, knowing what's going on with those patients so they can be better taken care of. And it's just been a really awesome experience to see. And that's just in a few short weeks. I've not been in that job very long.
Yes.
But just to see that that's already something that they really are enjoying, and we're seeing better patient care because of that.
That's such an exceptional point. And you were reading my mind, because that's where I was going to go next. I want to ask you a question. So your lane, your personal brand is women's health. And in your job as a pharmacist, you work with not just pharmacists, but allied healthcare professions. Do you find that people in that space, whenever the topic of women's health comes up, do you find that they seek you out or refer you or say like, oh, Sierra, you got to see Sierra? Do you find that starting to happen?
I have certain residents that I have called multiple times in the middle of the night, after I see the order, and now it has become that those same residents now call me before they put in the order. So instead of taking care of stuff on the back end, which could occasionally slip through, I am human. I am one pharmacist taking care of an entire hospital. Eventually, it's going to happen. But for, you know, the most part, I'm catching those things. And so I've talked to them, and now they're just calling me and saying, hey, Sierra, okay, I have this patient, and this is what I'm thinking about doing. Do you agree? Or they have this infection. What antibiotic do you recommend? Or we've tried this and this, and their preeclampsia is not getting better. What can we do now? What do you recommend? And so it's becoming to where more and more of those residents are calling me ahead of time. I'm also getting that in other areas of the hospital, not just in the women's health space, but definitely in the women's health space.
So what you just said there, I want to tack that on to what you said whenever they were expecting the new standard you said with having that front page on the chart. And they said, oh, I really liked that. So what you're literally doing is becoming so good they can't ignore you. So not if, but when that position becomes available, what do you think is going to happen? Now, I know what you hope is going to happen, but as a third-party unbiased observer, it's pretty slam dunk clear what would likely happen if they have half a brain, because you have demonstrated value, you're consistent, and you always show up in service, innovating problems. You saw, no one said like, Sierra, fix this. You saw things slipping through the cracks. You started to see potential errors or errors that were happening, and you noticed that common denominator. So you innovated and put a new system in place to prevent issues rather than wait for you to be called to fix them. That's what I call demonstrating higher value and literally becoming the go-to expert of your expertise, which is exactly a personal brand. How to become top of mind and be so good they can't ignore you. A personal brand is what people say about you, how they think about you when you're not even in the room. So when you're off or whatever, and women's health comes to mind, you're not even there, but I'm willing to bet that your name comes up. Or you probably get a call like, hey, I know you're off, but can you do this real quick? I mean, that probably happens.
Not quite happened yet. I did get a couple messages, like when I'm transitioning off and I've left notes, I'll get a message here or there. But we're working on that. I've only been and this is the crazy thing. I already had those people saying that, and this was my 3rd week on doing that. So in 3 weeks, I have gotten to the point that I had more than one pharmacist on that day come in. Look, I created a women's health binder because I'm a bit like Leslie Knope, if you've watched Parks and Rec, and I like my binders. So I created a binder that had all of those patients in there, and they opened the binder and it was empty in the front, and I had some of the papers with me. I was like, I'm sorry I didn't get, quite through them. And we were both like, oh, darn it. Well, okay, And that was in 3 weeks' time that was an expectation. So it very quickly became something that people were wanting and expecting because it made their life easier during the days because they knew what to expect. And I would say, okay, this patient has this and this. This is the next step if, whatever antihypertensive, for example, isn't working. I think we should try this next. I kind of, have looked in their chart and this seems like a reasonable option. And so it makes their lives easier because when they get that call, because it's probably going to happen, they have a recommendation ready to go. So it's quicker on, getting it on board. They're not having to stop whatever they're doing to take care of this. They already know the answer. So I've kind of set it up to where they're ready to go. So I don't get as many calls in the middle of the day while I'm trying to sleep. But it's just crazy to me that that's happened in such a quick period of time because I filled a gap that was there, they needed filled.
Absolutely incredible. And guys, this is something that I see a lot in pharmacy. We chase the shiny objects. We want to be known. We want the followers and the likes because that has some weight in some instances. But the whole point of this plan is if you chase the shiny objects, you're going to get distracted. When you work this plan, when you do the Script Your Brand course and you work the plan works because you're focusing on the foundation of a personal brand. Personal brand, personal, person, you. You are the foundation of your brand. And if you take that integrity seriously, it's going to literally not just get you more followers and likes and engagement. That's a side effect. That's nice. But it's going to literally level up every single area of your life. And I didn't know the answers to these questions. I was hoping that these would be what was going to happen. But I had a feeling because just, again, your consistency and seeing the engagement, seeing everything else, seeing the opportunities at work, all the things that you've shared and described are just absolutely incredible. And that is what happens when you script your brand. And so you are the real deal. Seriously. And I am so excited because you have this plan, you've got this rhythm, and I mean, life happens, COVID throws curveballs and all the stuff, right? But you have a system and you see that what happens when you focus on that consistently. And I'm so excited to see, you said all this happened in like 3 weeks time at your job. I can't wait for 3 months or 3 years. I'm just like so excited to watch your progress. And I just want to take a moment and acknowledge you because what you're doing is absolutely incredible. It's not easy. It probably requires a lot of sacrifice, planning, saying, oh crap, that wasn't the best idea. I'm not going to do that again. Things like that I've done probably way more than you have. But I just wanted to say that I'm just so proud of the work that you're doing, and you're doing it for the right reasons. You're legit. And I just can't say enough good things. So seriously, thank you for trusting me, because I haven't told you this, but you were the first person to buy the course. And you are just absolutely dominating the whole game. And it is just so freaking cool. And my role as the cheerleader in the back, or a coach, or whatever you want to call it, it's truly an honor. So thank you for your trust. And I'm just so proud and excited to see the amazing leaps and bounds that you're going to go in the future ahead.
Touch on something that you said this time. And you talked about making more of those mistakes than I did. And I think that's one of the things that really benefits from the course is you talk about, the things that you did that worked well. And you also talk about the things that don't work well. And I think that is so, like, one of the biggest, value bringers of the course was, oh, I was doing that, or I was thinking of doing that. I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to
save you.
Those things, even though you had to go through them, you can avoid a lot of that pain if you follow the process that you have laid out. And I think another thing that's been very helpful is, that Facebook mastermind group that comes along with the course, and being able to hear the things that you talked about in your course kind of reiterated again, because it's a good reminder, am I looking through everything in that lens of women's health whenever I'm getting ready to post? Am I still doing those things that I learned in the course? And so all of those things, I think, added together, doing the course, having the mastermind, having you to reach out to when I have questions, all of those things together has helped build the success I had. Because like I said before, I was doing this before I did the course, but I wasn't having the same amount of success. I was growing, yes, very slowly, but a lot of it was because I was making a lot of those mistakes that you talk about in the course, and I've been able to fix those, refocus, be very strong on why I'm doing this, being strong on my purpose and what my goal is for this. And like I said, it's just changed every aspect of my life. Some of these aspects were things that I wanted to change and wasn't able to do consistently in my life, not just for my brand, that now I'm doing that consistently. Like, for example, I wanted to work out at least 4 or 5 days a week, and I wasn't really doing that. Now that's just the norm. My husband's gotten used to that. He's like, okay, you're up. Now you're going to go work out, and then we'll eat dinner. Okay, this is just all like this now. And so it's become a routine, taking care of the personal brand part of things, but also taking care of myself and my mental and physical health, because that was part of the reason things weren't getting done before. I wasn't taking care of those parts of my life, which has helped me now take care of my personal brand, because I'm more focused. I usually do my workout, and then I'll go work on my brand on my off week. My off week really is like work on Instagram, YouTube, but
I love that you put off in quotes. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, she just said off, but put it in quotes. And I love that, because I'm like, what's off? Like, off from one job or another, but absolutely spot on.
I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so